Good morning, everybody. Right, here I am on a pair of stilts. Got to admit, my circus skills are not that great. I could do a little bit on the stilts. Can I juggle? No, can't juggle either. Can any of you do any circus skills? How about the tightrope? Tightrope. I'm going to go up on my tightrope here. Ooh. Going to, oh, yes. Well, okay, my tightrope might only just be a pair of chairs. I want to tell you a little bit this morning about a man called Charles Blondin. Now, Charles Blondin was very impressive when it comes to circus skills, and his speciality was the tightrope. And he lived in the late 1800s, and he was obsessed with the idea that he wanted to do a really impressive tightrope show for people. And he wanted to do it across the Niagara Falls in North America. Now, if you don't know the Niagara Falls, they are one of the biggest waterfalls in the world. And he put this tightrope right across there. And it was about almost 500 meters long, this tightrope. And he was like right above this raging water, which was like 50 meters below him. And he went across the tightrope. And he had lots of people there. And he managed, with his pole, very slowly, but eventually got to the other side. And there was 100,000 people there, and they all cheered him on. And then he thought, well, I've got to do it again, but I've got to go bigger and better. And so one time he went across, and he got halfway across, and he had a little stove, like a little cooking stove on his back. And he sat down halfway across, and he got the stove off his back, and he cracked open an egg, and he made himself an omelette, and he ate it, and he got back up, and off he went again. And then another time, he actually went across the tightrope wire on stilts. Can you imagine that? Crazy. And the crowds got bigger and bigger. And then one time, he took a wheelbarrow across. It's my wheelbarrow. So he went across, and he said to the crowds, do you think I can do it? Do you think I can take this wheelbarrow over my tightrope? And the crowd's like, yes, yes, you can do it. You're the great Blondin. So across he goes, slowly, a bit wobbly. Oh, wind's blowing a bit. Keep going. And he made it. And the crowd's, yay, Blondin, you're amazing. And they said, he said, I know, I could do it. You believe me, didn't you? Yes, yes. Well, who would like to come in my wheelbarrow and come back the other way? Suddenly, that loud, excited crowd was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Nobody wanted to volunteer to go back in the wheelbarrow. Now, I don't blame them really, but it just shows the difference, doesn't it? That people really believed and were very enthusiastic and believed that he could do it. But the moment it required them to actually put their faith in him and get inside the wheelbarrow, they weren't prepared to do it. And that can sometimes be a little bit the way like we feel about our beliefs and our faith. If we're really pushed and tested, sometimes we lose our nerve a little bit. And I always like to think back to a time in the Bible when Jesus' disciples, a lot of them were fishermen, and they'd gone out on a boat and they were rowing out over to Capernaum. And Jesus was going to meet them later, and they're in the boat. and it starts to get a bit rough. And then in the distance, what's that? They see a figure. Looks like he's walking towards them on the water. And yeah, as he gets closer and closer, it's Jesus. Well, they were shocked, surprised, excited, I'm sure. And Peter, the disciple, he was so excited. Jesus said to him, "Come on, Peter." And Peter stood at the side of the boat. And Jesus said, "Come to me." And he did. He walked and he stepped out of the boat onto the water. And he was doing it. Just like Jesus, Peter was walking on the water. And then he looked down and he thought, I'm walking on water, but I can't walk on water. People can't walk on water. And the next thing you know, he'd fallen down. He started to sink. His faith had given way. And what happened was just the natural, normal thing that would have happened. He started to sink. They pulled him back onto the boat. And Jesus said, Peter, where is your faith? Now, I actually think we need to give Peter a little bit of a thumbs up, really, because, yes, his faith ebbed away and disappeared when he needed it, and he just sank. But actually, it took a lot for him. He was the only disciple to actually give it a go. He was the one who actually did that step out of the boat. And sometimes we're going to have to make decisions like that. We're going to have to do a really brave or bold thing that's going to take courage, but we can keep our eyes fixed on Jesus. And I think if Peter had done that, if he hadn't looked down and started to think about everything that could go wrong, if he just kept looking at Jesus in front of him, I think he would have kept walking on that water, however miraculous that was. And when we're faced with those tough choices, big decisions, let's not forget that Jesus is always there with us. And if we want, keep our eyes on him. And he'll help us, lead us through the way. You know, sometimes maybe something's going on that you see, you know, shouldn't be happening. There might be a fight going on, or somebody's taken something from someone else. And you've got to be the one who stands up for what's right and do the right thing. Stand up for the truth. And that might feel like, but I'm a bit scared to do it. But if you take that step, like Peter did, stepping out of the boat, fix your eyes on Jesus, think about what Jesus would be wanting you to do in that situation, then he will help you through. So I hope you've learned a little bit of interesting things there about Charles Blondin and his amazing tightrope walking feats. But don't worry, I'm not asking you to be that brave, but just when it comes down to making the right decisions, speaking up and standing up for what is right, be brave. Like Peter, step out of the boat, fix your eyes on Jesus. Hope you have a great day, everyone. See you again soon.